The men's ice hockey team took to the ice for the NCAA tournament this past weekend, and the volleyball team heads to the playoffs after beating Fairfield on Sunday. What do these Bobcats need to do in these coming weeks? Bobcat Breakdown starts right now. Welcome back to Studio 125. I'm Kaylin Terry, joined alongside Kylesia Smith and Gage Kilburn, and we have an electric show for you tonight. Kai, Gage, how are y'all doing?
Well, I've been doing better. I mean, my March Madness bracket isn't doing well. This is a bit right here, but this is the best way to summarize it. So, other than that, how you been doing, Kai?
Hey, listen, can't complain, but with that March Madness stuff, I'm really nervous about this, Gonzaga and Michigan game, but we're gonna keep hopes up that Michigan pulls through. Even though we're against Gonzaga, but it's all good. We're good.
After a positive COVID test that caused St. Lawrence to pull out from the NCAA tournament, the Bobcats headed to Colorado to take on the Minnesota State Mavericks on Saturday, losing 4-3 in overtime. The Bobcats gave up 2 goals within 5 minutes in the third period to tie it up. Starting with you, Kai, what was Quinnipiac's biggest mistake in the third period?
Listen, so Kaylin, their biggest mistake was simple. They didn't take advantage of their advantages. They had 2 opportunities in the third period for their power plays. They had those advantages and they did not score. Realistically, if you score without an advantage, you should be able to score with an advantage. And they've had this problem throughout the entire season, not being able to score when they have the advantage in the power play, and that's an issue. They should be able to score. If you have, like I said, if you're able to score without, you're able to score with. And I feel like if they would have scored in either one of those power play opportunities, they would have won and been able in the NCAA tournament right now. But unfortunately, though, they weren't playing smart in those power play moments, and they didn't get the chance to score and make the opportunity to win. So that was their biggest issue in the third period.
Yeah, I'm going on a different pinpoint here. I'm going with how as soon as they got the 2-goal lead, they kind of let off the gun, say, okay, you have a 2-0 lead, we're okay to go. And they gave all the pressure to Keith Petruzzelli, the man in the goal. And it does work. Yes, defense does win championships, not saying it doesn't, but also you need some offense to relieve some of the pressure for the goaltender. Because near the end of the game, he was getting shots left and right, and that's where it gets to have a lot of stress going on. And that's where I think Keith Petruzzelli kind of struggled near the end because they were firing at all points, and they couldn't do anything. He couldn't cover everything. He tried the best he can. He made some incredible saves that kept them within the game, but the offense couldn't respond. And I think that's where it became a huge problem for them, was that Keith Petruzzelli wasn't on point. I mean, no, he was on point, but they were giving him all the stress and all the pressure, and that was too much for one goaltender.
Those are some great points, guys. And after an upsetting end to the season, the Bobcats will lose multiple seniors on the roster. Gage, do you think that this was Quinnipiac's best shot at the national title this year?
Of course not. It definitely wasn't. They were playing in a conference with only 4 teams, 2 of which are never really that good, Colgate and St. Lawrence. And Clarkson was the only one that was in good competition. But Clarkson, near the ECAC playoffs, they left due to COVID reasons. And then Quinnipiac had automatic bye to the ECAC championship, which they happened to lose to St. Lawrence, but St. Lawrence also had a COVID case, so Quinnipiac pretty much got like an automatic berth because of 2 COVID issues. It's the easiest path to the NCAA tournament I've ever heard of. And guess what they did with it? They didn't go that far either. And they had the capability, but they did not play the right amount of games. I'd say the best chance they had was 2013, but they screwed it up to Yale in the national championship when they lost, and they got shut out against Yale, a team they beat throughout the whole regular season. So this is nowhere close to their best national championship year.
Gage, unfortunately, I'm going to have to disagree with you on that because, now before, they got all the seniors, they had the shot, they had an 80-90% shot of making it to the NCAA tournament. Honestly, I'll give them credit of making it, but honestly, we have to look realistically. They really, truly didn't make it on their own. It was a miracle that they were allowed in the tournament. But now I feel like they have like a 50 or 60% shot because it's going to be hard to fill the shoes of, Keith Petrozelli as well as Odin Tufto. Tufto, the stats, he's the assist man, 122 assists throughout his 4 years and the 39 this season alone. He's been player of the week, on different occasions, player of the month, and has many different accolades, player of the year as well. And for Petrozelli, he's the gatekeeper. He's going to be extremely hard to fill his shoes as a goalkeeper. He's had 674 saves this season alone. It's going to be really hard now, especially now that Deliberatory is leaving as well, now that he has signed that contract. So, hopefully the potential key players that they do have in Thijs Mlananek, Ethan De Jong, Desi Buger, and Zach Mesta, hopefully those young players will step up next season. But that's probably going to be the only shot that they have. I'm not sure. It's going to be 50-50 with me.
Okay, before we go back to that, hold on a sec.
Gotcha.
You mentioned that, can you pull that full screen for a second? You mentioned that Odin Tufto was Player of the Week with ECAC Player of the Week. That was with 4 teams. You look at ECAC Hockey Player of the Year, Odin Tufto. There's only 4 teams playing in the conference, and none of them were the Ivy Leagues that we know of, like Cornell, and Harvard, and Yale, and Princeton, and all those big hockey and Ivy League schools. They weren't there this year, and so you can't really compare Quinnipiac with, let's say, Colgate or St. Lawrence. So I say that all these ECAC awards is kind of like saying, okay, who's the best player out of these 4 schools? That's where I think that there was like no kind of competition.
But, okay, I'm gonna just go ahead. You can go next.
Well, it's getting heated here in Studio 125, so heading from the ice to the field, the women's soccer team took on Monmouth Saturday, winning 1-0. The last time they beat Monmouth was back in 2015. Is one win against Monmouth enough to make the Bobcats the team to beat in the MAC? What do you think, Kai?
So, unfortunately, that's not necessarily, just because they just had one win, I feel like, they're really not going to be the team to beat in the MAC. Because yes, of course, it was against Monmouth, which is the number 1 team for the MAC for women's soccer right now. But they could have been having an off game. The only other win they've had this season has been against Marist, and they're second to last in the conference right now. And you also got to think about the other opponents. Now, they played second seed Manhattan, lost 1-2 against them, and they couldn't outscore Ryder. They're right under them in the conference. And they haven't had any consistent wins to determine their team as they're the team to beat. Maybe we'll see, their last matchups going up against Niagara and Fairfield before the MAC tourney, but it still can't be a factor because they both have are lower in standings as well. So I don't know if this is a way to show that they'll be the team to beat in the MAC.
Yeah, I say so as well. It's a confidence builder. I agree with that. It's a confidence builder, but it puts a huge target on their backs by the time the playoffs come around. Not just on their backs, more in particular Rebecca Cook's back, because she is the freshman player. She's pretty much the freshman MAC Player of the Year at this point. She's pretty much carried the team all the way throughout the season with the goals. I'm pretty sure she got that goal against Monmouth in the game, and she's pretty much led them to this record that they're at, where they're now tied for second in the MAC with Monmouth, and technically are in second with a tiebreaker rule with a head-to-head matchup. So I think it puts more of a target on their backs when the time the playoffs near, when Monmouth will be getting ready for Quinnipiac by the time the postseason comes. I see it as actually more of a problem. If they would have lost that game, I would be more better about it, because it'll be more like a sneak attack by the time the playoffs come, where they'll come out of nowhere and make their way to the NCAA tournament.
But it seems to be the season of the upset, so who knows what we'll see.
Heading to the hardwood, the volleyball team took on Fairfield, splitting the 2-match series on Sunday, their first win since 2015 against the Stags. Starting with you, Gage, what is the biggest storyline from Sunday's split?
The biggest storyline I have from this, it has to be the fact that they won their final match on senior night. Not the split decision necessarily, but the first game they lost, but the second match they won. And that was huge. That was huge, because if you look at it all together, if you're a senior on this team and you're playing against the number 1 team in the conference as Fairfield, and you come away with a win, the second win in school history against this team, the first since 2018, That's amazing to see. I like it all together, and that's where I had to go. It's the fact that they won their game on senior night, a way for the seniors to go out.
I mean, yeah, Gabe, that sounds good and all, but I feel that the biggest, storyline of that match was not only the fact that they won, but the fact that they won against a number 1 seed, and they haven't won against Fairfield in I don't know how long. It was only their second win against Fairfield in history. So that was a big moment for them. And they not only, won their second match against them, they gave Fairfield their first loss of the season. So I feel like that was two of the biggest storylines for those two matchups. And I feel like that's what the storylines were.
Yeah, even though they were down also like 2-0, 2 sets to none, they came back and won. I think that's what makes it even more incredible as well, Kai.
Yeah, it's a big moment.
After the split from Fairfield, the Bobcats will head to Albany to take on Canisius in the MAC tournament. Guys, what do you think the Bobcats need to do to translate these wins into the playoffs?
I'll let you take this one, Kai.
All right, so for one, they need to carry on this win from Fairfield into the MAC tournament. They got to keep the momentum throughout the continuance of the rest of the season. Have to keep the consistency and drive. They have the tendency to give out. With the doubleheaders, they're always splitting the victories with the other team, and they got to make sure they're not thinking about the opponent or who they're facing. They have to think about the task at hand, and that is to win in these games, and especially when it comes to tournament time. And they also have to stay focused and want the title just as much as their opponents do. As long as they fight hard to the finish, you don't have any regrets. So I feel like that's one thing they have to carry on into the MAC tournament. They just have to stay focused, keep this momentum from the Fairfield win, and hopefully they'll be able to push throughout the tournament.
Yeah, I'd say something different. It's embracing the underdog role. They've been doing it all year long. Kyle Robinson's mentioned that he's not really into the records. He's more into the progression. There are 7 seeds to see up on the board, and there are 7 seed against 2 seed Canisius. I see an upset there. I see them making it all the way to the MAC championship against Fairfield, actually. Because if you look back to last time the 2019 tournament came around, they were the 6th seed. And guess what they did? They made it all the way to the MAC championship. I see Coach Kyle Robinson is going to take them far, and they're going to ride the train with Mackie Baker on their side. And I'm excited to see how it plays out. And as long as they play the underdog role well, and they use this as momentum as well, I'm saying some with momentum, but the underdog role. Everybody's underestimating them in the tournament, and I see them coming out and maybe having a chance at going to the NCAA tournament.
Well, we're going to stop the action for right now, but when we come back, we'll talk all things soccer and lacrosse.
Multiple studies have shown that marijuana can slow both driver reaction and response time, which can be really dangerous. He's here. He's here. Wait. What? I can't drive. Why? My. Oh.
I know what you're thinking. I need a job. I need a new career.
Well, I've been there.
I've been there.
I've been there. I wasn't happy with what I was doing.
After high school, I didn't have a plan.
I just wanted to start working. I got laid off twice, but you gotta keep going.
You just need the right skills. Find an apprenticeship.
I found a 2-year IT program.
I found a medical course online.
I'm now a consultant in the tech space.
You have more options than you think. You can do this.
You will find something.
You will find something new.
What do you think you're doing, Kevin?
Was just gonna drive home.
There are several warning signs present that you shouldn't be driving.
Like hearing voices?
Like your text-to-emoji ratio?
Oh man, the selfies.
Selfie. Nailed it.
We all have warning signs that let us know that we're probably not okay to drive. Mine is pretending to be your subconscious.
Greg, come on man, let's put a ride home.
Welcome back to all of the action here at Bobcat Breakdown. The men's soccer team took on St. Peter's yesterday in a 3-2 overtime loss. Now, Kai, was this game a preview of the MAC championship? And do you think that they have a shot at winning the MAC title this year?
I wasn't sure about this question. Honestly, I wasn't sure, what they're going to give in the MAC tournament. Yes, they were challenged by a team like St. Peter's. They're closer in the stands and they lost. But at the same time, they are still number one in the conference. But on the other hand, some people will argue that, that's only because of the opponents that they face. They've faced Fairfield and Niagara, and so those teams are not really doing so hot. So I can't really say, if this is going to be a MAC championship preview or not for the men's soccer team. But it will be very exciting, if they were to win the MAC championship and carry on to win the MAC championship, because it's been since 2013 since they've won the championship, and they've always trailed behind in 2016 and 2018 where they were runner-ups as well. So I really feel like it will be an exciting moment, but just to make the game against St. Peter's a MAC championship preview, I'm not sure about that one.
Now, unlike you, Kyrie, you're on the fence. I have an actual answer for this one. This one, it's no. Because you don't know for sure what's going to happen by the time the postseason comes along. The COVID-19 regulations, you've seen it time and time again. A team is missed out because there's one positive COVID case. We saw with St. Lawrence when they won the ECAC title but couldn't play in the tournament because they had a positive case within the coaching staff. It happens time and time again. Do I think they have a chance at winning it? Yeah, I believe they do. But it depends on how healthy and how smart these kids will play, or kids will be when they're off the field. That's all it comes down to. It's not a matter of if they're good enough, it's a matter of if they're smart enough to play it as well. And that's why I say no, because there's going to be someone's going to screw up along the way, and it's going to cost them a MAC title.
As the team finishes their regular season and heads into the MAC championship, is relying on a balanced attack sustainable heading down this stretch? Take it away, Gage.
Is this even a question? It definitely is. And whenever you have a balanced attack, it leads your lead guy out of the conversation. It leads him out of the media. Everybody knows Eamon Whalen. He's on the QBSN magazine over there. But he was a big target throughout the whole MAC, everything in the MAC. And another one is they have scored 8 goals this season in total. And they've been scored by 8 different players. As you see up there, it was Alex Holding, Oriak Vila, Tomas Svilacula, Domin Bocic, Luke Allen, David Bertico, Paulo Silas, and Henry Weekland. And to top it all off, their top point scorer is not even any of those guys that's up on the screen. It is actually it's actually Bragasen with 4 points because of 4 assists. And that is where the key thing comes into play, is assists. He's looking not just for an empty net, he's looking for open players to get the ball into the net. He's more of a playmaker, and that's what you need later down the stretch. And that's what the teams so far this season have been overlooking up to this point.
Hey Gage, I can't argue with you there. Don't have a rebuttal for theirs. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I feel like if a balanced attack works for them, I feel like that should be able to carry them through, with the exception of last game. But they should continue to But if it works for the opponents, maneuvering through the balanced attack, then it's time to go to the drawing board if it's not working out, and come up with a new strategy. But like I said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If it's something that works out for them and has been carried them through, and they've gotten this far as being the number 1 in the city right now, then hey, continue.
Those are both some really great points, guys. The men's lacrosse team had to take a pause for the season after a positive COVID test after playing St. Bonaventure and losing 13-6 the first time. The Bobcats then played the Bonnies for a second time, winning 5-4. Kai, do you think that the COVID pause ended up being a positive thing for the Bobcats?
Hey, Kaylin, you just said it. I mean, I feel like it could have been, because the fact that they did, play St. Bonaventure at the start of the season, and it was the last game right before the pause, and 2 weeks later they played the same team again, and they win. So I feel like this is something that So I feel like this is something that may have been a positive for them throughout this time, taking that pause. They had time to strategize against opponents, really, taking things from pen to board, figuring their strategy out of playing the St. Bonaventure again and the teams that they had to, reschedule against as well.
It definitely is. It's an embarrassment when you see yourself losing to St. Bonaventure in lacrosse. Lacrosse. That's St. Bonaventure's first Division I lacrosse win in school history. That's embarrassing to see. They were preseason picked to be 8th in the conference. 8th. Quinnipiac, 4th. You can't lose to an 8th ranked team preseason going into the start of the season. That's embarrassing. And so I think it was a great decision for this not decision, but I think this COVID break was definitely a great readjustment for this team. Even though they won 5-4, that slim margin, that's not much. That's a really low scoring game in lacrosse. But even though it was a 5-4 game, I think that's a great way to get nice slap in the face to get the team back on track to where they need to be. And that is near the top of the leaderboard of the MAC playoffs when they come near. And a way for the top 4 teams make it to the MAC tournament. And if they want to be there, they got to start winning these games. And it starts with these easy wins in St. Bonaventure that they found a way to lose early on.
Absolutely. So hopefully, this pause, actually, gave them the reboost and energy, and hopefully they can continue on this winning streak as well after this pause.
Well, with that, we're going to take our final break of the night, but when we come back, we'll recap the QBSN Game of the Week and our final roars. Stick around.
Maybe you can make retirement happen. After all, you made home ownership happen. Homeschooling yourself on loans, beefing up your credit score.
So I'm pre-approved.
You were like, yes! Sorry. Color coding listings, ticking boxes, and flushing every toilet in a 20-mile radius. Home sweet home. You aced house hunting. Now get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
When we adopt a shelter pet, we discover they're a unique mix of all kinds of things.
Come on, Jules, spotlight on this last one. There it is. Keep going with it. Leo.
They're a little bit of a lot of things, but they're all pure love. When we adopt a shelter pet, we discover they're a unique mix of all kinds of things.
Come on, Jules, spotlight on this last one. There it is. Keep going with it. Leo.
They're a little bit of a lot of things, but they're all pure love.
Thanks for staying with us. Let's hop right back into it. The Bobcats took on Minnesota State Mavericks on Saturday for the NCAA Regional Semifinal in this week's QBSN Game of the Week. A quick break before the Bobcats as captain Odin Tufto got one to the back of the net off an assist by Avari Rasanen in just the first 3 minutes of the game. The first goal of the game marked 8 for Tufto for the season. With less than 5 minutes left in the first, the Bobcats upped their lead to 2 when Peter Deliberatore got one past Dryden McKay, his 6th of the season. The drive would slow down for the Bobcats in the second period as Jake Duremko ripped one past Keith Petruzzelli to grab the first goal of the game for the Mavericks. Heading into the third period, C.J. McGee ups the lead for the Bobcats with a goal of his own to bring the score to 3-1 halfway through the third. The lead would not last long for the Bobcats as the Mavericks drove in 2 more by Nathan Smith and Cade Burkhardt in the last 5 minutes of the regular play to force overtime. In the semifinals, 11 minutes into minutes into overtime play, and Ryan Sandelin would get the win for Minnesota State and send the Bobcats home. The Mavericks win it 4-3 in overtime. Let's take a listen to some of the highlights from Saturday's game. Stephen Pappas had the call.
He goes and a save the rebound in front. It's still loose. The rebound still whacking away at it, and they score! Minnesota State wins it in overtime. They'll move on to the Loveland Regional Final, their first ever NCAA tournament win. It's Ryan Sandelin.
Well, it's that time of the night. It's time for Final Roars. Gage, you can take it away first.
For a school that claims to be big on hockey, the Quinnipiac men's ice hockey team still finds themselves struggling during the playoffs time. This year, despite fan expectations on the team going into the NCAA tournament being low, they still found themselves annoyed with seeing yet another come-from-behind victory from the opposing team. During the ECAC tournament, the Bobcats had to win one game, just one game, to be champions, and guess what they couldn't do? Win one game! They lost 3-2 in overtime to St. Lawrence, a team that they beat 4 times in the regular season. St. Lawrence later had a positive COVID test and are not eligible to compete in the NCAA tournament. This Quinnipiac team was given a berth in the NCAA tournament by default, and they still found a way to lose in the opening round. If they really want to start proving that this is a hockey school at the national stage, they first have to work on winning important games, like ones in the tournament. Individual awards and weekly achievements are not the building blocks for team success, and it's time the Bobcats start focusing on the latter.
A couple of weeks ago, a statement was made about students and fans being able to spectate outside spring games. Ever since the softball games, field hockey games, tennis games, and even other outside activities like the watch party Quinnipiac held at the field hockey stadium for the NCAA Bobcats Ice Hockey Round 1 game have been filled with students and fans, COVID regulated of course, and has put nothing but mask-covered smiles on all of our faces, especially since we haven't been able to do so in over a year. But we have to continue to do our part so we can continue to enjoy the privilege that we have been given. I know it's getting warmer, and when that happens, people are a little more out and free. But just keep in mind of the opportunities that we have been given, and even the opportunities we may continue to get. Continue to wear your mask, social distance, and obtain your weekly COVID test so we can make sure that we are all being safe. It's not just about you; it's about the Bobcat family.
After a heartbreaking end to the season for the men's ice hockey team, they'll have to say goodbye to a few seniors. The Bobcats took a trip to Loveland, Colorado for the NCAA tournament against Minnesota State. After taking a quick lead in the first, the Bobcats struggled to maintain it and took it to overtime. After an overtime goal by Minnesota, the Bobcat season came to an end, which means saying goodbye to a few players. Odin Tufto, Keith Petruzzelli, Joe O'Connor, Josh Mayanja, and Michael Torello must all hang up their jerseys after an incredible season. ECAC Players of the Week, Players of the Year, Goalie of the Year, all of these titles and awards are large accomplishments for these seniors as they head out in a few months. Tufto, Petruzzelli, and O'Connor shared a moment on the ice after losing in overtime to the Mavericks in Colorado. It wasn't the way that they wanted to end the season, but they have so much to be proud of. While their talent will be missed, there is so much to look forward to with this Bobcats hockey team. Ty Smolonic, Wyatt Bongiovanni, and Desi Berger are some of the players to watch out for come next year. The season may be over for now, but there will be a new one in a few months, so stay tuned, Bobcats. Well, that's all of the time that we have for tonight. Make sure you check us out online at q30tv.com and theqbsn.com. You can find us on social media at Q30TV and at QBSN. You can also now find us on the Q30 TV app available for download. For Kylesia, Gage, and everyone behind the scenes, I'm Kaylin Terry. Good night, Bobcats.